Dabba-dum, babba-da-bum, babba-ba-bum, bum 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 bum. Um, Episode 7 of Series 14 was entitled The Legend of Ruby Sunday. Oh, I've just realised I've got autofocus, and the autofocus on this thing is rubbish. That's better. The Legend of Ruby Sunday, which is probably the worst title ever. Look, I've said this all along. The thing about Doctor Who in its current incarnation is best not to think about it. For example, Ruby, who is a Mancunian, right, lives in London with a London mother who is an adopted mother but still has a Mancunian accent. I'm sure she must have lived in Manchester, or there's some. Was it? It is London, isn't it? It's not Manchester. It's those little things that you think about. You think, well, how can this be? And just don't think about any of it. So there will be spoilers. It was Sutek all along. Who'd have thought it, eh? I really want to like this, but I can't. Mr. Davis, he seems intent on. I don't even know if this was written, other than maybe it was. My daughter described it as Russell T Davis having several Lego sets and smashing it together to create an abomination. That's how she described it, and I think that's probably the best way to describe it. The TARDIS does a crash landing into Unit HQ, which looks like the Stark Tower from the Avengers, because that's what we do now. We've seen it before with the Toy Maker, and we've got some new characters. We've got Morris. I think he did the voice of Eric in Space Babies, and I read they liked him so much they gave him a role in it, and he's on a little kind of mini Segway type thing. And personally, I think he's the is it what they call it, MVP? MVP. I think he should be the next companion. Get some proper representation. Get Morris being the companion to the Doctor, because this Doctor's a bit stupid. We need somebody in the TARDIS with some brains. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he was. I liked him. I thought he was good. I liked him. I liked him as Eric as well. If he was Eric, I think he was. So the Doctor rocks up and says, "Oh, there's this woman," played by Twist, Susan Twist, and she's appeared in, I think, nearly every episode. She was the maid to Isaac Newton. She was in the pub in the Christmas episode, and she's appeared in every episode since then. I think was it with the first one? With Meep the Beep Beep Meep the Beep the Meep in it. Did she appear in that one? I don't know. I try to forget that one. Anyway, the actress has appeared in all of them, and so you've got this kind of Clara, the fella, what's his, is that Agaroth? I always get his name wrong. Is it Agaroth from City of Death? kind of thing going on where a person is spread through time and space. City of Death is I think City of Death is my favourite. Scaroth, that was it. I always get his name wrong. Played by Julian Glover, who's Robert Wyatt's half brother. So yeah, characters spread across time. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my head around what I've just watched. It was a bloody mess. None of it makes sense. So anyway, you've got he's preoccupied by this character who he thinks is Susan. It isn't Susan. It never was Susan. It couldn't be Susan. Why would it be Susan? It doesn't make sense. And he thinks it's TARDIS technology. It isn't. So he rocks up to unit. They know what's going on. They're already monitoring the situation because the Doctor's an idiot. We've ascertained that, and I think that's a deliberate character flaw on Davis's part. I really do believe that he's made this iteration of the Doctor a bit dim, and I don't think that's fair on Ncuti Gatwa. I really don't. I really don't think that's fair. So there's that going on. And then they start talking about Ruby and her mystery. And then things get really stupid because, we've got a video cassette, VHS. This is 2004, right? Because everybody was handing out VHSs in 2004. I don't know about you, but a lot of people got rid of their VHSs by then. If there was any security footage, CCTV footage, it would have probably been burnt onto a CDR, or a DVD-R. For optical media was at its height in 2004. Just saying, just putting it out there. So they go on about this bloody videotape, which is, has it been mentioned before? It might have been. I don't care. I really don't care. But the Doctor, instead of the Doctor, getting in the TARDIS and nipping to Ruby's place and getting the tape and zipping back again, Ruby goes there and gets her mother, and then Anita Dobson turns up, and it turns out she's a villain or a servant of Sutekh for some reason, because haven't you seen a TARDIS before? Why? Why is she? Why anything? So they get this VHS recorder because they've got a time window, which is a bit like The Ring. Have you seen The Ring? Where video comes to life. So you've got this kind of Ring imagery where they're in this time window and they can look back in time and remove all the interference, and they can kind of stand in it because that's a thing now. But they can't really see who the woman is. Maybe it's Sutekh. Who knows? Who cares? Maybe it's Ruby herself. It's got to be a time bloody cycle thing. And then it all goes wrong. Morris goes, blimey, it's overloaded, Doctor. I'm just making. He doesn't sound like that at all, but I can't do a small child's voice because I'm a man. And it all goes wrong, and one of the hunky unit officers who the Doctor tries to flirt with is turned to dust. And the Doctor's upset by this. He cries later on. He cries. He's upset. He bangs the wall. He cries. And you're thinking, is it because he wanted to, go rogue with him, if you know what I mean? I'm trying to be polite. Last week's one I was a bit rude. But the fact that he was kind of desiccated was an indicator of who the villain would turn out to be. It was a big thing. Mind you, it was spoilt, because I think it did come from up on high that you should watch the Pyramids of Death, Tom Baker episode, series, episodes, to prepare yourself. Now, the villain in that is Sutekh. So, beginning of last week, I was kind of thinking it was Sutekh. Thinking it's Sutekh. And then trying to figure out how they bring back Sutekh. So, now this goes on for a long time. There's a lot of talking as well. And there's a lot of talking, and you can play a drinking game. Right, there's a new drinking game. It's not a new drinking game because you'd have played it during the Star Beast as well. Every time they tell Albert Finney, that they're beautiful, you have a drink. You only get 2 drinks this time, but every time they go, oh, and they're working at Unit because Unit has got a particularly tough jar of pickled onions I need opening, and Albert Finney can do it because he's got the big hands, isn't he? Got the big hands, massive hands, towers over everyone, towers over the Doctor. It's hilarious. It's hilarious, But hey, that's that cognitive dissonance I go on about. You got to you go, what? So anyway, it all goes wrong. Then the Doctor says, I'm going to go and see Susan TARDIS, or whatever her name is. Okay. And then it all goes wrong because she's given away her technology. There's all these strands running through it. And then it's all set up, the whole thing, the whole story. And look, you can tell that Davis has written this arse backwards, right? He was aiming for the big reveal, and he worked back from that moment. Because it's called The Legend of Ruby Sunday, but we get no closer to finding out what her story is. There is no legend. It should have been called the Legend of Susan TARDIS, or whatever her name is. Triad, Susan Triad. There's a lot of triangles in the series too. I don't know if you noticed that. Triangles, pyramids, triangles. Last week the trap was a triangle or a pyramid. Yeah, it's Davis doing his bad wolf thing all over again. And so there's the big confrontation, and she's having dreams, which doesn't make sense. I don't get it. How can she be in all these places at once? How can she be spread through time, but not be spread through time? But having dreams of being spread through time? Again, it's a bit like a Clara thing again. Don't think about it. Don't think about it, because if you think about it, it doesn't make sense, because it's all about the foreshadowing. Remember that. Russell T Davies is sitting at home clapping his feet together and giggling at a job well done. He thinks he's done an amazing job laying the breadcrumb trail of foreshadowing in every episode. But if you think about it, why? Don't think about it. At least with the Clara one it makes sense. At least with old Scaroth, Count Scarleone, he was fractured through time. Clara spread herself through time. You understood why they kept reappearing. It made sense. This doesn't make sense, but don't think about it. Don't think about it. And then there's the big reveal. I'm Sutekh. Sutekh. You got the wrong anagram. Ha 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 ha. Sutekh. Get it? Sutekh. And then there was this terrible big CGI Anubis type dog creature draped across the TARDIS, because Sutekh or whatever was living in the TARDIS or around the TARDIS. Okay. And then what's her name? Susan TARDIS transforms, and she desiccates another fella, and that's it. And there's references to the toy maker. I think the Trickster was in there. I did it on low because it's late, so I didn't get. Maybe I should watch it with subtitles on. That might really be a better idea. But there was referencing to all these other old gods, and I still don't understand how they're all linked together. But hey, don't think about it, Darren. Don't think about it. And so they're kind of Harbinger. There was a Harbinger again. Remember we had a Harbinger before? It was a kid. Do you remember? We had a Harbinger again who works for UNIT because the security at UNIT is very, very poor. Very, 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 very poor. You got someone whose name is Harbinger, who's obviously got ties to the toy maker. Didn't scan him, and you got a bloke pretending to be a woman there as well. So come on, UNIT. You really kind of, and then you let Ruby's mum walk in. Really? But it had really little to do with the legend of what legend of Ruby Sunday? What, that she was she's a foundling, she's an abandoned child. It's hardly legendary stuff, is it? It's hardly legendary stuff. She didn't rescue a school from a school on fire, or she didn't do something amazing. She was just a baby. There's no legend. Overblown rubbish from Russell T Davies. But yeah, if you look at it from the point of what does the story try to achieve, it achieves nothing with the Ruby Sunday strand because we learn nothing more. It just sets up the reveal of Sutekh or Anubis or whatever that dog creature was and the other fella. And then, but the good thing about Sutekh's reveal is he does call the Dr. Vane. So I do think that Davies has written him deliberately kind of. It's a shame because there is a moment in this where Ncuti Gatwa really pulls in the performance. He pulls it back, and he's not all flappy and and overly camp. And he pulls it in, and he's got this real dark, brooding presence. I was like, that's what I want to see. He can do it. He could be a real brooding, like with last week on the balcony. He was putting it on. He was like, in thought, and he's talking to, Kate, UNIT woman, and he's really kind of. It's a much more controlled performance, and there's a darkness to it. It's not a real depth to it. And then another funny thing is Mel, played by what's her name? Not Lena Zavaroni. I always get them to the other one. Who's in Just William. I'll scream and scream and scream until I'm thick. Do you remember that? Yeah. Anyway, she actually tells the doctor to pull himself together and stop grizzling. It's like, yeah, that's right. She's the audience. She's looking at him and going, what kind of doctor are you? Look at you. Stop snivelling, man. And she was just saying what everybody's thinking. So I think Davies is being a bit clever with the doctor and has made him deliberately dim and whiny and vain so that Sutekh can break through the reality. I don't understand why. Something to do with the salt, I imagine. I don't know, because again, Russell T Davies just makes it up as he goes along, and so it's delightfully loopy. But don't think about it. I wanted to like it, but I was rolling my eyes and just going, oh please. And for 20 minutes at the beginning, nothing happened. It was just them all talking and patting each other on the back, and it not being very good. And Sutekh. So that sets us up for next week's episode, which is called Carry On Anubis, or something like that. And though he did say about was it about I'm going to be around for a long time, old Ncuti. And I'm thinking, when you say things like that, maybe you're not. Now, this isn't wishful thinking, but I get the feeling that there's something going on here. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it. I wouldn't be surprised if Davies is playing with us and there's going to be another reveal. I don't know. But it was a mess. It was messy. It irritated me, and I really wanted it to be a really good cliffhanger for the ending. I wanted it to really but once again, the doctor does nothing. The doctor is kind of incompetent and impotent in that respect, because he doesn't really solve any problems. He just makes problems, and even he says that I'm just bad luck. He just thinks he knows That's why he hasn't visited his granddaughter. He just thinks, God, I'm just bad luck, and I'm beginning to think he is. So yeah, it was again and again. It felt small. It felt kind of stagey again. We're stuck in Unit HQ. Yeah, you go to different things. You go to the time mirror, time window, whatever you call it, and a TV studio, and that's about it really. It still feels the scope of it feels quite small, and I don't really understand where the Disney money has gone. If there was Disney money, it certainly doesn't feel pretty good. And I didn't like the way he parked the TARDIS. He scraped the bottom of the TARDIS. Something, come on, that's up there with Matt Smith spitting on the TARDIS console when he regenerated. That's a no-no. We just don't do that kind of thing. We have some respect. So yeah, I'm going to be watching it again with my son. I don't think he's going to understand absolutely any of it. He's probably going to turn around to me and say, Dad, I hate this. I watched it with my daughter because it was the end of her exams. Well, she's got one on Tuesday, but it's DT. DT is the exam for all the thick kids, so the big exams have ended, so she's not really worrying about that. Am I allowed to say it? I've just said it. What is a wood? My daughter says that's the level of questioning in a DT exam. 2 hours, I think. It's 2 hours on DT. Can you believe it? Design technology, for those of you who don't know what that is. It's for people that, don't know the difference between a hammer and a screwdriver. It's that exam. So yeah, she was staying up late, and she watched it with me at midnight. And at the end of it, she said, "I don't know what's." Then I had to show her a bit of Pyramids of Death with Tom Baker to explain what Sutekh was. This is Sutekh. He's like the god of death, in Egyptian times, and he's a siren or something. It's been a long time since I watched the one. I know it's got the kaleidoscope thing, and so she went, okay, but so he's been pushed back into the future, or pushed forward into the future. How did he escape that and get with the Doctor? I said, well, maybe he's always been on the TARDIS. Maybe he's just been hiding there, waiting. He's the one who waits, he waits a long time. So I'm sure all will be revealed next week, and we'll still be more confused than when we started. But hey, we brought back another villain. This time, Sutekh. Just glad it wasn't Bertie Bassett. Just so glad it wasn't Bertie Bassett. I'd have been so upset if that had been the big reveal. So yeah, what did you think? Was it an unbridled mess? Or was it a work of sublime genius? Tell me I'm wrong. I double dare you, tell me I'm wrong in the comment section below. Because, I know I come on here and I rip it apart a bit, but I know a lot of people didn't like Chibbers, but go and watch your Chibbers one, because at least he could tell a story. It might not be a story that you liked, but he could tell a story. I don't think Davis knows how to tell a story anymore. The closest he came to it was 73 yards. I thought that was a really good one. But these ones, last week's one, again, it wasn't actually even written by Davis. It was written by two ladies who wrote a gay romance like it was a straight romance. It was a man and a woman. Too fast. But yeah, a mess, an absolute unmitigated scrambled egg classic. It was just Sutekh, and that was it. I wish I could make it funny. I wish I could make this review funny, but it's just not funny. And I don't care about Ruby and her great mystery. Is she going to be Susan? Is that the great mystery? Is that why they can't? Maybe she is her own mother, and it could be anything, couldn't it? Because that's what Russell T Davies does. He just changes the rules every time, everything. There's a change, Oh dear. You see, what he could do, right? What he could do, he says he can't go back to that location in time. But what he could do is he could park the TARDIS further down the road. Just step out, and nonchalantly, I don't know, look at his fingernails, and just wait for. I guess it's a woman with the hood and the cloak. Just walk past her and go, "Oi, oi, love, oi, oi. What are you doing?" That wouldn't affect the timelines, would it? That wouldn't affect. You could take a picture, go selfie. I don't know. But anyway, that was the episode. It was Sutekh all along. Shocker. And I don't care. I really don't care for it. Thank you for watching. I don't know. I suppose I better do a sonic screwdriver. I think we'll go for the old. Go for this one. What do you reckon? Yeah. Oh, I like that. Be careful where you put your sonic screwdriver. And we'll see you next week for the finale. Ta-ta.